Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Anderson, co-owner of AVAIYA University with my partner, Ike Allen. Thank you so much for joining us for this Breaking Free from Codependency curriculum. We have another great class lined up for you today with Jerry Wise. I absolutely love Jerry. He is going to be talking about healing codependency through self-differentiation. And if you don't already know Jerry, he was also a featured teacher on a couple of other AVAIYA events, including Healing from Childhood Trauma, as well as Breaking Free from Abandonment and Betrayal. And I've always loved connecting with him. He has a very soft, soothing, loving way of presenting his materials about topics that are often difficult for us to maybe look at or address. So I highly recommend, if you haven't looked at his classes from those other two AVAIYA events, to go check them out. And Jerry and I are about to have a really dynamic discussion about codependency as it relates to this topic of self-differentiation. We talk about how to stop bringing your past family of origin relationships, those maybe codependent, unhealthy, dysfunctional relationships, into your adult relationships, into the relationships with your romantic partner, with your children, with your pets, with your friends, with the plumber, all sorts of different things. So how to stop taking those dysfunctional relationships and then bringing them into your current relationships with people. We also talk about a 3-step tool that you can start applying in your life. It's a 3-step tool to self-differentiation, and you can start applying that when you're having what I like to call a codependent moment. And we talk about much, much more. So please enjoy the class, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome to AVAIYA's Breaking Free from Codependency curriculum. I am Andy Anderson. My partner, Ike Allen, and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of AVAIYA University. AVAIYA is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. Thank you so much for joining us. Our fellow teacher, Jerry Wise, is here to talk with us today about healing codependency through self-differentiation. Jerry has been a marriage and family therapist, an addictions therapist, social worker, pastoral counselor, ACOA expert, psychiatric therapist, codependency expert, and the list goes on and on and on. And he holds degrees in political science, music, psychology, marriage, and family therapy. He now offers online help and professional coaching for individuals and couples. And as a self-differentiation and relationship systems coach, he uses his knowledge in family systems theory to help clients get unstuck and find a true sense of self. Jerry was also a featured teacher on a couple of other AVAIYA events, including Healing from Childhood Trauma and Breaking Free from Abandonment and Betrayal. Thank you so much for being back with us, Jerry.
It is always a pleasure, and it's always fun to talk with you.
Right back at you.
And we always have a lot to talk about.
We certainly do.
And we never have enough time, but that's okay. We'll put as much as we can in here.
Yes, that's why you keep coming back. See,
that's right.
So let's go into self-differentiation. So let's talk about that. What is self-differentiation, if I can say that, and where did it originate?
Well, self-differentiation is becoming a more popular term now. You can actually Google it and find things on that. And it will bring you to me also, because I tend to be somebody who promotes that. Self-differentiation is a term developed by Dr. Murray Bowen, and he developed and originated Bowen family systems theory. It's actually Bowen natural family systems theory, because as a psychiatrist and as a researcher, he saw how our interrelationships fit with the universe and the biological universe we have, and virology, and relationships just work in terms of a system. And so we use the term self-differentiation as a term of growing and maturity and healthiness, while acknowledging and always acknowledging we're part of a system. We're not just an individual stovepipe person. We are always interconnected, just like a cell in your body is. Every cell in your body is connected to the liver. Every cell in your body is connected to the kidney. Now, it may not be in the kidney, but it's all connected. And so we want to self-differentiate from the system, and that increases our maturity, our healing, and so managing yourself in the relationship systems that we have, and our primary one being, of course, our family of origin, managing yourself as an adult in that system is what self-differentiation is. Because certainly when we're an infant, we are just bonded to mom, or our parents, or just, and so as we grow and mature, we become more self-differentiated. If we get stuck, then we become codependent. And that's where the codependency, and so we want to break free. And I think using a self-differentiation model just has been so helpful for me personally. So it's a personal growth, but I found that in helping others, I get emails every day of people saying, you changed my life 2 years ago because of your stuff on YouTube and the free videos or whatever. And I've not even done coaching or therapy with you. And you've already told me more than what my therapist ever told me. And they've just been very grateful. So I like that self-differentiation model.
So let's talk about it as it relates to codependency more. So you mentioned, right, like as a child starts to differentiate from their parent, but they get stuck, that's where codependency originates. So could you share maybe some examples of what would happen in one's childhood to get them stuck like that? And then, kind of tie that into self-differentiation.
Sure. Let's talk about a normal family system, whatever that is, but we'll talk about what's supposed to happen. What we're supposed to do is be totally dependent and then eventually become self-differentiated. In other words, I differentiate myself emotionally, not distance, but differentiate, that I'm different from the family. And healthy families, you can do that. And so you grow and you become yourself with your family. And when you see healthy families, if you see some of those, or you have friends that have healthy families, they operate in a self-differentiated way from their family while loving their family and being connected to them, but they're still fully their own person. And so that's that self-differentiation look, what it looks like. Now there's more to it, but at least that's a general. So now let's talk about the codependent problem. So now as we're going through this process, which everyone goes through as they grow up, now we have trauma. Now we have alcoholism. Now we have these kind of things, and that thwarts this process of becoming self. Now I'm now enmeshed and fused with the family through those kinds of dysfunctional patterns. And now I'm fused and I keep trying to get out. And so then I become an adult and I'm still trying to get out. Now I'm trying to get out from my family with my husband, with my boss, but I'm trying to get out and differentiate from an older problem, but I'm doing it now in all my adult life. And so I'm codependent with the plumber. I'm codependent because I haven't broken out of that and become a full self while staying connected. So we have the enmeshment, we have the cutoff, which is also a different form of enmeshment. Now, a lot of people don't realize that. That's enmeshment opposite. That's anti-enmeshment. And then there's self-differentiation. I'm me while staying connected, but I'm not fused. I'm me while staying connected. But that originates back in how we developed in our family of origin and the problems that we had there. And then codependency develops when, okay, mom's unhappy, she's unhappy with dad drinks, and mom's codependent on dad. And now I'm codependent on the alcoholism and dad and mom's codependency. And so mom's unhappy, she shames me, she guilts me when really she's wanting to focus on her husband, but she can't because so it becomes child focused. And then I got to try to get out of that pattern. And so I become codependent. I'll make mom happy. I'll make dad happy. We'll all be happy. And I'll trade self to do that. Now I'm codependent.
What is your definition of codependency? Could you just share that real quick as we kind of explore this?
Well, I had a formal definition that I used. It's a family systems definition. I don't know if I can say it verbatim right now. Certainly codependency, as I think about it, is, well, and even if I think in family systems terms, because I can think in individualistic terms and family system terms. If I have an infection and I need an antibiotic, okay, that's linear. A, B, you give me antibiotics, I'll fix that. Mm-hmm. But it also has a systems effect too, because maybe my white blood cell count is down. Maybe I'm diabetic. So that's going to affect this wound too, and this infection. But so you can think of it in linear or systems ways. And so when I say systems thinking, I think of codependency as being someone who is still enmeshed with their family of origin, in which they have de-selfed and learned to de-self and to be people-pleasing and over-functioning and all those kinds of things. And we've become codependent, as Melody Beatty says, and to control others, not in a malicious way, but in a self-surviving way. We control others. If we're in a relationship with a narcissist, or if we're in a relation, then we will try to please them so that we'll be okay or have a better relationship. And we'll give up self to do that. Mm-hmm. And so it's someone who has learned to give up self and de-self in relationships, in their relationship systems, and then operate in all those traits that Melody Beatty and Claudia Black and everybody who writes on codependency mention. I don't know if that's a good definition, but it's.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. I just realized as we were talking that I hadn't asked you that question yet. And obviously most people probably coming to this event have some level of understanding of what it is, but I like to get other people's opinions on what it is for them. So, okay, so let's take someone's watching this event right now and they are in a relationship. Maybe it's a romantic relationship, friendship, whatever, and they're bringing that family of origin codependency into that relationship. Where do you start? How do they get started reversing that, unraveling that, healing that so that they can have healthy relationships with themselves and others?
Well, if they don't know anything about codependency, I would then direct them to start learning about codependency. If they know some about codependency, or they realize they're codependent but feel stuck and don't know, I'm just in this relationship that I don't know what to do, then I start saying, okay, who do codependents focus on? Others. Themselves or others?
Others. So that's immediately a key thing. You are focusing too much on your other in this relationship. I know you're going to do that, and I know you're already doing it. So let's get the focus back on you, not in a selfish way, but in a self-caring, self-differentiated way. It's not about you becoming a narcissist, but there's too little self, and that's hurting the relationship. Yeah, but he's the one that's causing the problems. No, he has his problems. I understand that. I'm not denying he doesn't have his problems, but we can't focus on his problems if we're trying to help you with your problems. Right. And if wherever we start, we're going to end up better. If he focuses on his problems, we'll be better. If you're focused on your problems, it'll be better. So let's stop talking about the relationship, because the relationship's already broken. So let's not talking about fixing the relationship. That's like, I have a car that doesn't work. The engine doesn't work, and I bring it in, and they say, well, let's repaint it. Well, and couples will ask me, how can we repaint this car? And I'm going, I don't know that that's a priority right now. Right.
We really need to see why the engine's not working. That will help. And so let's look under the hood, and let's look under your hood and look under his hood. And so for you, there's codependency there. So let's start getting a self in terms of a realistic view of yourself, a detachment from your family of origin, because everything you're talking today to me about with your husband and such, as I'm talking to the couple, everything you're telling me has history. Let's go back to the history, rather than focusing on the symptom, which is your marriage is not working. Right. That's a symptom. And they're coming and saying, it's the problem. And I'm going, no, it's just the way you're functioning in your systems. And in fact, the way you're actually functioning is a solution, believe it or not. So let's find out what the problem is to make this the solution. Right. Of how you're arguing and bouncing off each other intimacy wise. And, that's all symptomatic. Let's go to the root. And so I would say, hey, let's do that. Go read, It Takes One to Tango, which is a personal view of how you can change your marriage. Rather than changing the marriage, how you can change you to change your marriage. And she's a family systems. I forget her last name, but It Takes One to Tango. Okay. Have I answered your question? Yeah. I know I get caught up in my own words. I like to talk, and that's one of my faults.
That was fabulous. I did ask you to talk, so there it is.
Great.
So how has this self-differentiation work and codependency work influenced you in your own recovery? Because we've talked about this before, right? Codependency is something that you know in your own personal life, as do I. So how has this influenced you in your recovery?
Well, people don't believe me when I Friel, F-R-E-I-L, I think, have books on what's normal, codependency, they F-R-I-E-L or E-I-L, I can't remember. And I should have all these down, but it's morning time and I'm not quite up yet. They have a codependency test, and you can probably even find that online. I would have scored out of 60, I probably would have scored 55 back in the day. And people don't believe me, and they go, oh, how could you have ever? I'm going, you just don't even know. Yes, I mean, everything in my life was driven by guilt. Everything in my life was driven by unself-awareness. Everything in my life was driven by non-self-definition. And non-self-regulation. Everything outside of me regulated me, except me. And that's codependency, where everything regulates you but you. And so as I began to read, and I did all the books, thousands of codependency books, and it was helpful, absolutely helpful to see the codependency stuff, because I wasn't aware. I came out of denial. Then I started to work on codependency, and I'm going, but I want to go further. I want to go further than just understanding I'm codependent. And that's when I began the work and study of Bowen family systems and a family systems approach and self-differentiation, because to me, it took in all the 12-step Melody Beatty. It took everything in and made it into a whole for maturity, growth, and seeing the system in a mature way. If you want to know what normal is, do some study on self-differentiation, and you'll find out what normal should have been, what it is, because I have people ask me that all the time. Well, what do normal people do? They are self-differentiated. That's what they do. Go find out what that's about, and you'll go, oh, that's normal. Oh, because I didn't have a map for that. Nobody gave me the memo on that. And so as I begin to learn, use a self-differentiation understanding, I could begin to do that work, regulating myself, my reactivity, my lack of self, and how I relate to other people. And it begins to grow, and you begin to grow as an individual and mature. And if you would have asked me when I took that test at 55, if I would ever feel the way I feel now, I'd say that not in my lifetime, just not in my lifetime. Now, it doesn't mean my life won't get better. I believed it would, but to not have that reactivity, to not have all that guilt, to not have I would have just, no, maybe I can make a few steps forward. And I believe that, and the codependency world teaches that, but not the kind of growth that I think a family systems approach has helped.
Oh, that's so inspiring. And I so relate to that. Like one of the things that I'm always working on with myself is like being able to source my own love and not be always grasping outside of myself for it. And
All the
that,
time.
and that is like even just the degree to which I have been able to practice that in my own life. And then looking back at times when like there was no concept of not doing that anymore. Like it was like, well, of course love exists out here in my partner Ike and love exists
Of
in the dog.
course.
I mean, like what?
Right.
Like so right.
Right. What it's a whole new paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know what paradigm to change to. I was only in the box I was in.
Yeah.
I don't see other boxes. I know there are other boxes out there, but I don't experience those. I just experience the Jerry box. That's, and I was going to say, I had an urge and a drive, not just to act different, not just to think differently. I had a drive. I wanted to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Act and think was helpful for me with the 12-step work, codependency, read books, but family systems helped me to actually be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not against thinking and acting differently. I'm totally for that. Absolutely. Yeah. But I wanted irreversible change. Mm-hmm. I wanted change that wouldn't just keep recycling and going back. Yeah. I wanted to be different. And I think that's the hope that like a family systems approach brings. Harriet Lerner, she was one of the first ones to write The Dance of Anger. And I was reading her books, and she's a family systems psychologist. And Brene Brown now and she's very popular. She's family systems. That's why people love her so much. Mm. And when I first heard her, I went, how does this all sound familiar to me? What is she? Then I found out she and Harriet Lerner are, best of friends and collaborate on books because she's a Bowen family systems person. I didn't know that. Mm. And it just, it's people who've gotten to the place that can you really be different and really change and really grow in which you don't go back. Right. I can't even go back. Once I learned to ride a bike, just like with self-differentiation, once you learn to self-differentiate, you can't unlearn it. You try to unlearn it. You'd have to have a stroke to unlearn it.
Mm-hmm. So like, do you recommend for people who are maybe in 12-step groups, right? There's a lot of different things. There's Adult Children of Alcoholics, ACOA, there's Codependence Anonymous, there's any number of other 12-step groups. Do you recommend people do those in addition to doing something like family systems approach or like
all the time?
Okay.
Yep. And I have them come and I go, read Melody Beatty, Codependent No More, and read Jenny Brown, Growing Yourself Up. Mm-hmm. You put those together and you're going to have a dynamic, because you need the understanding of both. And that's why I do wed those. And that's what's so important. And then they go, oh my gosh, and Jenny Brown will twist your head. She will change your box. Not because she's such a genius, not because it's just she's presenting it to you in a family systems model. And then you go, oh my gosh, that's a way of understanding it I'd never thought of. Well, of course we never thought of it because what was normal for us. And so it's really powerful in recovery when I work with codependents and bring those two together. I have people that go to CODA meetings, they do all that, and I go, oh, let's also do your self-differentiation work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And get your, as Bill W. says, get your emotional sobriety.
Yes.
Really going.
So here's another question as it relates to this. Let's say someone watching gets into like what I would call like maybe a codependent moment, right? We've all who are watching right now, if we define ourselves as like we have codependent tendencies, we might have these moments where we get wrapped up into it. So
I still do. It still can happen. I'm not a perfect person. I mean, I'm not, become just, and yes, you still can have moments of reactivity.
So what does one do? Do you have like tools you help people use, or like something in your tool belt that you can whip out and be like, okay, I'm going to apply this in this codependent moment where maybe you're being controlling, or you're having catastrophic thinking, or your fear of abandonment or shame, that kind of stuff. How do you help people with that as far as something they can apply?
That's where I use the rule. What is the don't just don't just do something stupid, stand there, versus don't just stand there stupid, do something. No, don't just do something stupid, stand there. Mm-hmm. Meaning, when I'm having a reactive moment, I need to stop. I'm already on this roller coaster that is not going to take me in a good place. Whatever I do, my paradigm's already broken when I have this reactivity. So I need to stop to at least do no harm to them, to me. I'm already in a bad, so I need to stop. And then I use the 3 steps of self-differentiation. Self-awareness. What's going on? What are you feeling? What's your reactivity about? What do you fear? What's going on? Step 2, self-definition. Okay, what do I need? What is important? And what do I believe? What do I believe about this? Number 3, self-regulation. And then what do I need now, having done A and B? What am I going to do with C? How am I going to act? How am I going to regulate myself? For example, if I'm in total fear of abandonment mode, what communication is going to be helpful for you at that point?
Nothing.
It's only going to be bad. I'm telling you, it's whatever we do or say or drive or buy or whatever we do in our relationship or in our life system, it's probably not going to be good. Mm-hmm. So the best thing to do is learn how to stop. Whoa, I need to, and that tells me you're working in a systems way, because you're already acting as forgive this analogy, a cancer cell. Mm-hmm. So let's stop the cancer cell here, rather than start infecting my marriage, my everything else with it.
Yeah.
Spending too much, eating too much, drinking too much. Now we're just spreading the cancer. I maybe should have used a better analogy than cancer, but it cellularly, we're starting to be unhealthy. So I want to stop doing that. And how are we helping ourselves? If we're spreading the disease, how's that going to help us? We're going to have more abandonment.
Right.
And more. So I want to stop and go, what am I feeling? What am I going on? What's going on? My husband, I feel, is abandoning. I feel this abandonment. Stop and go, wait a minute. I felt abandoned all my life. Let me get my focus off my husband and let me go back to where it began. Why is this trigger still here? Because and then how do I abandon myself? Mm-hmm. And reactivity is a self-abandonment. In a systems way, reactivity is a self-abandonment. And so when people start to be reactive, I want to find out, why are you abandoning yourself right now? What? Well, I feel reactive. I want to tell him I'm going to stand up for myself. You're not standing up for yourself at all. You're just acting reactively in the system. Mm-hmm. You're not standing up for yourself. You're just reacting to all kinds of forces you don't have control over. Right. That's self-abandonment. So let's start not abandoning ourselves. Then we will feel less abandonment from others.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. I love that. That's a great exercise. I appreciate that, because I'm always looking to try to find things that people can, take out of their tool belt and be able to be like, okay, this is what I can do in these moments. And that's absolutely being there for yourself and not leaving yourself, not abandoning yourself. So, yeah.
And that's why I tell people to stop, because I know they're abandoning themselves. And so they want to use a self-abandoning approach to fix it. And I'm saying, don't use a self-abandoning approach to fix this.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
And it then twist their head in the better direction.
Mm-hmm. So here's another question for you. Another common trait that I see in myself and in so many people who would say they're codependent is stuffing feelings, not really being very good at identifying feelings. And from my experience, that has developed over many, many years. So why do you think people who are codependent stuff feelings? Why did that happen in the beginning? And then how can we maybe start to come up out of that and be able to identify feelings and not just shove them down?
And those who've read lots of on codependency books and stuff, and we see some reasons why people do that, and we grew up in maybe dysfunctional homes where we didn't talk about feelings in my family, and I'm not sure that would have been comfortable to even bring them up. You certainly wouldn't tell somebody you felt angry. I mean, that would just totally mess up my family. They wouldn't know, what do you mean? Are you shaming me with your anger? No, I just feel angry. So everybody knew to keep everything pushed down, make sure. And so we learned those. And I remember the first time I saw a really good therapist, and he happened to be a family systems therapist, which was wonderful. And I didn't know that at the time. And it just, whoa. And he would say, well, Jerry, what are you feeling right now? And well, Reggie, I'm Dr. Munson, I have no idea. What do you, and of course, as a good codependent, what am I thinking? What do you want me to feel? How should I do this right, Reggie? What do I need to please you? Of course, are my questions.
So true.
And I did that. And that's exactly what I go, oh, how should I feel?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how I should feel, and then I will feel that way. And he just wanted to know how I felt. I don't know. I don't ask myself that question. Nobody asked me that question. And is that an important question? And so that began the journey to, you mean I can ask that? And I have feelings? Oftentimes, we have not been aware for good reasons, because feelings were not safe in our family. So you just need to, and that's a part of that codependency that keeps us stuck. Feelings are not safe. So as we become adults, we're still stuck in that. The family is still in us when we can't identify feelings.
Right.
In other words, then Reggie is my mom asking me how I feel. And I'm going, well, how should I feel, Mom? Even though it's not Mom, you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How should I feel? Because I'm reenacting the whole family thing again. And so, because they weren't safe, and that wasn't okay. Self-awareness and self-feelings were not valued and were not celebrated. So we learned that that's not important or not celebrated. And in fact, even if you do have feelings, it only causes problems. Feelings just cause problems. Mm-hmm. So let's stop having problems. So we'll just stop having feelings. Then we drink too much. Then we smoke. Then we, buy too much. Then, but we go, feelings aren't important. They just ooze out in every other acting out way.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and we were talking about how do you, and so the beginning process of learning to self-care, value self, and that my feelings are important, I need to learn to have a vocabulary for my feelings. Everybody's got feelings. Everybody has emotions. Everybody has, it's when we don't have a language. We don't have the vocabulary. That's why feelings lists are important online, to have a list of feelings, because I just know I have this sensation. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to call it. And then I go, oh, that's rejection. Mm-hmm. Oh, is that what that feeling is? That's how I feel it, but I didn't know you called it that. So giving it a vocabulary heals feelings a lot if you can give it a name and a vocabulary. Second of all, and I'm doing these in probably reverse order. Second of all is giving myself permission to have them and to express them. When if I were to ask you, Andy, what are you feeling right now? And we're in a coaching situation. What are you feeling right now? And you go, I don't know. I would say, can we change the language to, you're not ready to tell me?
Got it.
And that's perfectly okay that you're not ready to tell me. You cannot be ready. That's perfectly acceptable. But you don't know is incorrect. And it's a myth. It's just you're not in touch with that, or it's not okay to be in touch with that. So we don't have permission to do that. And so, but we'll use the words, I don't know. Rather than, well, Jerry, I'm not in touch with that and I don't give myself permission to do that. If someone told me that, I'd say, hey, you're right on. You're such an adult. But who's going to say that? It's easy to go, I don't know. And again, the I don't know also has a little message of, what am I supposed to feel?
Yeah.
That I don't know what I'm supposed to feel right now. And what are you fishing for? Are you seeing something, Jerry? Like I somehow have X-ray vision into everybody. That are you trying to, did my face show you I had a feeling about? No, I was just asking you what you felt right now. No other motive, no other, agenda. But those other agendas come from our past. And in fact, we didn't have to talk much in my family. And with my mom, all I had to do was read her face. I can read faces because that's how we, you knew what mom was thinking and feeling just by looking at her face. And so vocabulary, permission, and then a permission to feel it, and then permission to express it, because maybe I know what I feel, but I should not say this. I shouldn't say I felt abandoned, and I'm feeling abandoned now because I felt abandoned growing up with my family. I shouldn't be saying that because my parents have died. And I don't want to speak ill of the dead. So I can't speak anything negative about my parents. Like speaking negative about them is going to hurt them. That's mythical and magical. It's not going to hurt them at all. Whatever you believe about the afterlife, it's not going to hurt them. That you're getting in touch with your feelings. You're not indicting them in a court of law. You're just, and so vocabulary, permission to feel it, permission to express it. And then people do journaling, they do letter writing, they do daily diaries, and just sit down and go, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling right now? I'm practicing. What am I feeling right now? Even if it's a good day, what am I feeling? I'm feeling joy. I'm feeling happy. It's, my car just had a flat tire. Okay, I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling and then I go, I'm feeling like, and I just said it. Whenever we say I'm feeling like, then we're usually talking about a thought, not a feeling.
Okay.
And one of the things about self-differentiation, I'm glad you brought up that question, is being able to separate out thoughts from feelings. Because when someone says, well, Jerry, my feeling is I'm feeling judged. And I'm going, no, that's a thought.
Right.
What is the feeling when you feel judged? What are your feelings? And many times we'll say thoughts, but we say feel.
A lot.
But a lot. We say feel a lot, and most of those are thoughts. They're not feelings. And so self-differentiation work is separating and getting greater differentiation between thoughts and feelings. These are my thoughts. These are my feelings. And that strengthens self-differentiation. When we're back here in the family and engulfed and dependent in the family, those don't get separated out. And so we do feel think. The feelings just create the thinking. And thinking creates the feelings. in a mature differentiated adult, those are separated more. A normal person, whoever that is, has these farther apart, and they can tell you what they're feeling, they can tell you what they're thinking, and they don't just do the feel think blah 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 that happens.
Yeah, I can think of which is I can think of examples of when I say things to Ike. For example, I feel like blah 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 blah, but it's absolutely not a feeling.
It's not a feeling. It's a conclusion.
Yep.
And now what I do is, it's okay to do that. Just make sure you get the feelings afterwards. I feel like you treated me like a child. Now that sounds like a feeling, right? Actually, it's a conclusion, and it's a thought that I had, and then go, and I felt dismissed. I felt discounted. I felt disappointed. I felt unloved. See, now I can add the feelings. And so it's okay if you do that, but just make sure you add this part.
Right.
Because again, for us codependents, we'll think saying that we've done it. We've communicated. He knows how I feel. No, he just know what conclusion you came to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. That was a great answer. That was very helpful. And I hope that everyone watching found that helpful to, yes, try to begin differentiating between thoughts and feelings. So Jerry, we're running low on time as usual, which is just an excuse to have you back again. So, so let's talk about I know you have a free gift for everybody, as well as a program that they can sign up for. So what do you have?
I have on my website, which I'm sure there'll be a link there, jerrywiserelationshipsystems.com. Go to my website, go to the exclusive content, or go to paid plans, whatever. You can sign up, get 7 days free. Sign up for like the bronze plan, which is the least expensive. You can sign up for that. Cancel before the 7 days. You won't be charged. And you can watch all of my exclusive videos and files and things that are on there. So you can have all that for free. And if you watch it all, then you've got all that for free. We keep adding to the exclusive content every week. I also now have my last 4-hour workshop that I did up on that website, and it's up on the front page. If you want to rent it for a low amount, or if you want to purchase it, I really think you would benefit. It's an introduction to self-differentiation. And we had a wonderful 4-hour time together with folks.
Awesome.
And then, could I mention the new video that's
please.
coming up? There's a new free video, doesn't cost you anything. It'll be up on YouTube on my channel with the same name that I mentioned. And it's 5 things codependents miss in their recovery. And let me share those 5 with you, just to tease you. And again, the video's free, so you don't have to. By the way, you can join memberships on my YouTube channel and become a member and see other exclusive content. I think it's only $1.99 to be a member on my YouTube channel, and you get special benefits. But this video is free. The 5 are self-regulation, detachment, and systems anxiety, which are 1. Pendulum life swings and understanding that, going this pendulum life. Systems feelings, they often miss in their recovery. And then growing yourself up, like self-differentiation, like Jenny Brown. So those are 5 things that I find in working with codependents that even if they've been in recovery for a long time, they can miss those dynamics.
Perfect.
And that's what the name of the video will be called. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And when it comes out, it'll come right to you.
Awesome. So everybody watching, there's several buttons, links, everything below. So all that Jerry just mentioned, you can find below this video, and head over to his website to check out the free trial, check out that workshop, as well as head over to your YouTube channel to check out that video. So thank you so much. You are, as always, a delight. And I love connecting with you, Jerry. Thank you so much.
and I really enjoyed talking with you, and you give me good hard questions, and I think we had a really great talk today. It helped me clarify some of my thoughts too, and it was very helpful.
Good.
And I love being here, and I love AVAIYA.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do you have any last insights, Jerry, before we wrap up?
Everybody needs to keep working on their recovery and keep searching. There are answers out there, and good things can happen. Because if I can change in codependency, anybody can. Believe me. That's just my message.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
Yes.
and showing up for yourself. And that is the first step to recovery, showing up for yourself. So I'll talk to you again real soon, everybody. And thank you, Jerry. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andy. Bye-bye.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this latest Breaking Free from Codependency class with Jerry Wise. And he talked about healing codependency through self-differentiation. I hope you have a better understanding about what it means to self-differentiate, to be able to be within a system, a family system, and, be connected to people around you, but at the same time, be your own individuated person. So this is something that is extraordinarily difficult for so many of us who have codependent tendencies, to be able to actually differentiate ourselves from the people around us. So one of the things I wanted to hone in on in this little wrap-up video is just, where is your focus? Jerry and I talked a little bit about this. Where is your focus in a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis? Are you focused on what you're feeling, what you're thinking? Are you being aware of what's happening inside of you, of your own needs, those kinds of things? Or are you focused on others? If you're listening to this right now or watching this right now, more than likely your focus is more often on others than on yourself. And we talked about differentiating this from being narcissistic. It's not about necessarily being selfish and only thinking about yourself, but it is about taking a look at who you are, how you think, self-awareness, self-regulation, all of those kinds of things are ultimately your responsibility, because no one else can be responsible for yourself than you. So again, like where do you hone in on your focus in moment to moment? Are you wrapped up in your head thinking about others? What's going to happen with others in your life? What are they doing? What are they not doing? That look that they just gave you, what did that mean? Did it mean something about you? Those are just kinds of ways that often a lot of us who are codependent tend to veer towards thinking about others and getting wrapped in our heads and our thinking minds about others and what's happening with them, as opposed to what I like to say, stay in your lane. Are you going to be in your lane, or are you going to be in their lane? When you're driving down the road, you want to be in your lane. If you're over in somebody else's lane, you're going to have an accident. So focusing on getting back into your lane and honing in on you and being responsible for the only person in your life that you can ultimately be responsible for. So another thing I wanted to touch on is self-regulation. We talked a little bit about this and how Jerry said, right, that when you're codependent, everything outside of you regulates you, but you. So again, the focus is to get to the point where you can regulate you, not concern yourself with, oh, my partner is feeling depressed today, so I have to feel depressed. Or this, someone over here is really happy right now, but what I'm struggling with is some sadness, but I can't be that way. I have to be happy like those people are. So that's not the point. The point is to get back into who you are, into what you feel, into how you think, and to really give yourself self-care in that way and start regulating you, as opposed to having the world outside of you regulate you. Another thing I wanted to touch on is this common trait of so many codependents is to stuff our feelings. I bring this up because this is something I, to this day, still struggle with, and always am taking a look at my own family of origin as to why. Why is it that I'm not very in touch with how I feel? Why is that? So Jerry and I talked about, right, that perhaps in your family of origin, feelings weren't safe. Maybe they were demeaned by your family. Maybe you were told not to feel certain ways. Maybe when you did feel certain ways and express those to people in your family, things happened that weren't safe to you, that didn't keep you safe. So you created these coping mechanisms called be a perfectionist, be controlling, be happy, shiny all the time, and never really get in touch with how you feel. but that is really discounting your experience as a human being when you're not focused on how you feel, because that is part of being a human. So one other little point is to separate out your thoughts from your feelings. Another thing that a lot of codependent people struggle with, myself included. Really kind of hone in on in your day to day, what are my thoughts versus how do I feel, and try not to use language like Jerry was talking about where you're feel thinking, as opposed to saying, you did this and I felt that this happened, as opposed to, oh, I think this way. So when are you actually thinking something versus feeling something? And separating those two things out in your world of self-differentiation to heal from codependency. So thank you again so much for tuning in, for showing up for yourself on this journey, and being willing to take a look at how you can start differentiating yourself from your family of origin, so that you start to have a healthy relationship with you as an individual while maintaining connection with other people in your life. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Take care.